What's going on, everybody on YouTube? My name is Griffin Thomas. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. I'm the owner of Preferred Pest Management, located in Plano and Rowlett, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And in today's video, I got a list of notes here. I have 8 points for you guys, just of things to be on the lookout for in terms of, pest control companies, what to look for, essentially. So I think I'm going to title this video, 8 things to look for in a pest control company. And, we'll just get right to it, guys. So, number one, and by the way, like this video, it's not like an advertisement for me, my company, anything like that. I'm just posting this, obviously with YouTube, everybody all around the country and even all around the world can see this content. So, just trying to, inform the consumer at the end of the day, prevent a lot of headaches. I know whenever I go looking for a company, I would like to know, regardless if it's a plumber, HVAC, pest control, lawn care, whatever the case may be, I would like to be more informed as a consumer, making my decision, what to look out for, essentially, with other companies and all that stuff. So, I'm not blindsided and, get taken advantage of course. So, with that, we'll just hop right in. So, number one is going to be, generally speaking, and this is going to sound, a little bit crazy, maybe. Some of you might understand why here in a second. But the more that you pay for general pest control services, termite services, exclusion, rodent services, whatever the case may be, generally speaking, the service is going to be better. Now, I will say that there's a certain threshold with this. Of course, the bigger, national multi-billion plus dollar companies, they charge ridiculous prices just all around for the most part. And from what I noticed, having worked for a large company myself in the past before starting my own company, was they're even inconsistent with the pricing. Like, they'll start out super high, and then, if a customer takes it, then they'll charge that. And then if a customer literally just price haggles them to death, then, they'll end up chopping upwards of like 30% off their price. So you definitely want to be careful with that. It's not necessarily that, you want to pay top dollar, but that, you want to, not go necessarily with like the cheapest company. I remember whenever I was, it was roughly not even a year into business yet, probably around 6 to 10 months roughly into business. I was just doing follow-ups with people, when people call you and they say they'll call you back, good routine is, follow up with them if you haven't heard from them. And somebody told me they were just looking for one-time services. One-time services for us generally run somewhere around $200 to $275, 30-day warranty, blah, 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 blah. So I called the guy up, just see, what he's thinking. And he said that he found somebody that would do it for $60. $60. And I told him straight up, because I'm a straight up down-to-earth owner. I level with people. I say, I told him, I said, well, hopefully he does great work for you. I really hope so, because if so, you got a steal of a service. I'm not even going to pretend that I could compete with that. My price is my price. Good luck to you. If you need anything, you got my number. I'll send you a text. So, my number's in your message thread, blah, blah, blah. Never heard from the guy again, but, you definitely, I'm definitely interested to see kind of how it went. Sometimes I think about that, almost on a weekly basis, but definitely, you get what you pay for. You probably heard that term, in construction and just in life in general, when you go and buy toys for your kids or whatever the case may be, you go and get a massage, a cheap massage, you come out all sore and stuff, and you pay a lot, you generally come out feeling refreshed and this and that. So same thing with pest control, guys. You get what you pay for, which kind of leads me to my next point, which is, you should get a couple of quotes. It's not even necessarily a point, it's just like a sub point essentially. You should always look at, getting a second opinion. Now, I'm not saying just go down the list. I get people like this every day where they're just simply going down the list looking for that cheapest company like we were first talking about. Coming from an owner of a company, please don't do that. It's not that, we want you, like, we know every customer is not for us. We know that we don't fit every customer's needs. But if you're going down a list, you're wasting people's time. You're wasting your own time as well. At the end of the day, a lot of people's pricing, like our pricing, is very upfront. We have it on our Google page. We have it, you can literally submit a form on our website and get a quote in like less than 30 seconds. So like, if that's available, don't waste your time and other people's time just running down a list, calling people. I always suggest people, if I know that, I ask them straight up, I'm like, are we your first company, that you've reached out to? Usually about 9 times out of 10, because we're usually around number 1, 2 in Google in our area. They're like, yes, yeah, you're the first one we've called. And I tell them, I'm like, I would suggest, go ahead, get another quote, see what they have to offer. And, if they have more to offer than us, by all means, again, good luck. Hopefully they do everything well for you, all that good stuff. But definitely, I suggest pretty much getting 2 quotes. Get 1 quote from, that number 1 company, on the list, of course, and then try to find, maybe another company that's further down the list. Because, some people, they're not further down the list because they're a bad company. It's just they don't understand the marketing with Google and SEO and all that. So I always suggest people, maybe give those guys a chance. If you see that, they got all 5-star reviews, but they're just further down the list, go ahead, give them a call, see what they have to offer at the end of the day. If they, I'm all about, capitalism and, everybody being able to compete with one another, and, the best company, should thrive at the end of the day. So definitely get 2 quotes. And then our next point, which is technically point number 2, is make sure that they aren't what we call in the pest control industry baseboard junkies or spray and pray companies. With baseboard junkies and spray and pray companies, what I mean by that is, the old school method of doing pest control, for probably at least 20 to 30 plus years, was, you come in and you just spray around the entire perimeter of the home, every baseboard, just getting chemical all inside of your house. And don't get me wrong, there are instances like with bed bug treatments, flea treatments, there's selective treatments where you do kind of have to, treat everything essentially. But for like general pest control, for example, where you're just trying to keep, spiders, ants, all that kind of stuff out, I always break it down to my customers like this. In the Dallas-Fort Worth area, most of our homes are slab foundation homes. So how I explain it to my customers is there's only really a couple different entry points for bugs to get into your home. It's either going to be through your plumbing lines, because your plumbing lines are going to run up through the ground, of course. So there's, a little void there that they're coming up through. Which gives the bugs, they're always moving underground and stuff like that, migrating underground. They can come up through your plumbing lines, and then, that's why a lot of times you'll see ants or roaches, stuff like that, in kitchens, bathrooms, utility rooms, near the garage, if your utility room's near the garage, that kind of thing, because they're coming up through the plumbing lines. So that's one spot. And then you have your exterior points, which, we hit from the outside, such as around your exterior doors, your window sills, on the first level, of course, your window sills. And oftentimes I will get the question with window sills, well, what about my second level window sills? I always explain to my customers like this: if they're getting all the way up to the second floor, we've got bigger issues at the end of the day. So it's not going to be the windowsill necessarily. Now, if you don't treat the outside, then of course they can go on up, 1 to 2 stories up the home and get in a windowsill. But if you're doing everything that you need to be doing, throwing out a good bait around the perimeter, spraying around the perimeter, I always tell my customers the inside is minimal invasiveness. It's very minimal overall. We're in your home maybe a couple minutes, depending on what the issue is, if there's any issues at all. And then, on the outside is where the magic happens. That's where we're able to use stronger chemicals, because, the state and EPA and all that, they regulate these chemicals with, how strong they can be inside, rightfully so. And then on the outside, we're able to really use the good stuff that's going to give you the ultimate protection at the end of the day. So ask them, be upfront with them and say, hey, what's your treatment process like on the inside, essentially? And have them just break down to you how they treat the inside. And then number 3, our next point, is that they offer a warranty on that interior service, which that means, for example, I brought up my one-time service example earlier. Our one-time services, they come with a 30-day warranty on the inside if you're going with that one-time service route. So I always tell my customers, give the treatment a couple weeks. If you're still seeing stuff, crawling around inside after that, let us know. We'll come back out for free and take care of it. Same thing with our ongoing, monthly, quarterly, whatever the frequency is, customers. They have, the only difference is it's a full 365 warranty, which means as long as you're a customer with that recurring service. Say we come out at the time of shooting this, it's July. Say we came out in July, and then say at the very beginning of September, for example, a month or so before your next service, random issue pops up. You let us know, we come back for free, take care of it. Pretty much every company offers this at this point, but there are still quite a few companies who they'll discount their pricing. Again, going back to that, you get what you pay for. They discount their pricing. They'll do, for example, we do pretty much our average is around $40 a month for quarterly pest control, so $120 a quarter. Where some companies will charge like $59, $70, just dirt cheap, and then they end up charging for any callback. So you definitely, again, it goes back to the pricing, but as well as this, interior warranty, make sure that there is an interior warranty with service, whatever type of service you're signing up for. And then number 5 is, of course, communication. Communication is everything in the service industry, not just pest control, but every type of service business. Communication is everything. We have across all of the platforms like 75 to 100 5-star reviews, no 4s, no 3s, no 2s, no 1s. And I think a lot of that is because of communication. Communication is everything. If you communicate expectations, you communicate when you're coming, when you're leaving, what you've seen, all that kind of stuff, you're rarely going to have issues with most customers from my experience now. I've been in the industry now 5 or 6 years, something like that, and I've owned my own company now for coming up on 2 years. Communication is everything, and with communication is that the company communicates with you either via text, call, some will email. I don't email. I discourage emailing just because no one really checks emails too often anymore, unless if you're a business person yourself that has to check emails regularly. Most people, text messaging, that's the main one that we use. I would say 99% of our customers, we send a text a day, sometimes 2, in advance, letting them know that, hey, we're going to be coming out this time, this day. Has there been any issues inside that we need to take care of? Just give a good rundown of all that. Make sure that, if there is an issue, somebody will be home. If not, we can move it around where they will be home. Just common sense communication at the end of the day goes so far. It blows my mind how many companies will just show up, do the work, leave, take your money on auto draft or whatever, and they're surprised whenever they start getting complaints. It just, you'd think it speaks for itself, but that would definitely be something to ask them. Say, what's the communication like, if you're looking at signing up for an ongoing service, say, what's the communication going to look like for whenever you guys come out to my property, going forward, and get a good idea of that. And then number 6 is, and I want to be careful with the wording here. I even wrote like a paragraph for myself, so I'm very careful with the wording, that they have a service agreement for you. Now, notice I didn't use the word contract. It's just a agreement between you, the homeowner, or the renter, whatever you are, and the company. It's not, some companies will use these as contracts to like tie you down to like a 1 year, 2 year, whatever, service plan essentially. So definitely make sure that you two are on the same page with that. Ask them if this is locking them down for X amount of months, years, whatever the case may be. But they should at least have a service agreement. And how a service agreement works, how I explain it to customers is, one, the state, at least here in Texas, they, really strongly, I don't think it's necessarily a law, but they really strongly want you to have a service agreement on file that shows that, this homeowner at this property knows that you're putting down pesticides, blah, 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 blah. But also for, you, the consumer, and the company as well, it gives you all something to refer back to. Say that, the company was supposed to come out in, again, July, because it's July right now, and they don't come out. They still charge you for July. Like my company, for example, we charge every month. We break everything up over a month, or you can pay a year up front. And let's say they charge you, but they didn't come out in July and they came out in August instead, you could refer back to that agreement and be like, hey, you guys aren't, living up to, the agreement that we have. You're supposed to be here last month. What's going on? I should get some kind of, compensation or whatever the case may be for you. All work it out at the end of the day. But it protects, not just the company, but it protects you as the consumer too, because, there are companies out there, unfortunately, that will take advantage. They'll charge you monthly or, have your card, regardless if it's monthly, quarterly, whatever they charge you. They'll have your card on file and, they'll just charge it without even doing anything. It goes back to communication too. The ones that don't communicate when they're coming out, those are more than likely going to be the companies that try to do that kind of sketchy stuff. So, definitely ask for a service agreement. Say, if you don't want a contract, there are benefits to contracts. Don't get me wrong. I'll probably do a separate video in the future of like why contracts can be beneficial, especially in times like these, in times of inflation. Like we've had to raise prices 2 times this year. If you were in a contract, then, your price is locked in. That's one of the main things with contracts, locking in price for X amount of time. So, like I said, that's for a separate video, but, if you don't want a contract where you're, locking yourself in or whatever, definitely stress to them, I don't want a contract, but you all have a service agreement that, we can refer back to, just to, for accountability, essentially. And then number 7, this one, some people will kind of, be like, brush it off, whatever. But at least here in Texas, you want to make sure that the trucks are labeled. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that they have to be, wrapped and, say what company they are, even though I would still suggest that at the end of the day. It'd be kind of weird to not have a labeled truck. But they have, in the state of Texas, you at least have to have your company license number with the TDA, Texas Department of Agriculture. You have to have your license number. Usually, I believe I don't know if it has to be on your fenders, but that's where pretty much all of us put them, is on each fender of your vehicle. So if they roll up to your house and they have 0 labeling whatsoever, automatic red flag. If they don't have that, I would definitely suggest asking for some form of proof of licensing that they're a legitimate company. And if they get all offended, I would just say, look, your truck's not labeled at all. I know the laws. You're supposed to have at least, some kind of labeling in terms of your license on your vehicle, and it's not labeled. So I just want to make sure that I'm hiring a legitimate company at the end of the day. Pretty self-explanatory. And then number 8 is, you want to be treated right at the end of the day. You don't want to be treated, I'm sure we've all had this experience, with like cable companies and stuff like that, where you literally call in and you just dread even calling in because you're probably going to talk to a robot most of the time, trying to get in touch with a human. And then when you finally do get in touch with a human, they don't even really treat you like a human at the end of the day. They put on this little act of, oh, how are you doing? But, what do they always ask you? They ask you, do you know your customer number? Do you know your PIN code to your account? This and that and the other. They're only asking about numbers. They don't ask, what's your first and last name? Or, what's the address of your home? Like, they don't ask personal questions. You're just an account number to them at the end of the day. A lot of my customers, like, I don't have none of my customers, like 99% of my customers, I don't even have saved in my business cell phone. But whenever their phone, I see their text message pop up or their, phone number pop up if they're calling me, I almost know 90% of the time which customer it is, just because I don't know if it's just some power in my brain or whatever the case may be. I just remember speaking to people, and it's not even because, I'm a small company. I've treated now over 300, 400 customers. I've got close to 200 recurring customers. I deal with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis now, and that's continuing to grow. But I never lose sight of, the fact that these aren't just numbers. Like, these are people who I am serving, and they're paying me to serve them. That's why it's called the service industry. Like, a lot of people, a lot of big companies, not even just big companies, even some mom and pop shops will lose track of that. They start getting some employees, they start thinking, they're, rich or whatever the case may be, because they got a couple employees, they're making maybe 7 figures a year on paper. And, they lose sight of why they got into the business to begin with, what their purpose is in business to begin with, which is solve people's problems. And, it's just something, at least in my opinion, you definitely want to pay attention to. Say you sign up with a company, first time you call in for an extra service, you're talking to a robot. First red flag, right out of the gate, in my opinion. And then let's say you do actually get somebody on the phone, and first thing they ask you is, for your customer number, or, is your, even, I don't even like asking people, is your account under this phone number? Like, I try to literally, if I don't recognize your number and who you are right from the get, I'll just ask you, ask, what's your first and last name again? And, that will refresh my memory. Oh, this is, Mrs. Jones, she had the spider problem, whatever the case may be. So just pay attention to that. Again, it kind of goes back to the communication point at the end of the day. But I just know from working for a big national company myself in the past, before I started this company, that, the moment they treat you so well leading up to that first service and all that stuff, and then once they get you signed and get that first service completed, it's like flip a 180. So just pay attention to those points, guys. That's pretty much all I have today. This video has gone way longer than I expected, in all honesty. But I just wanted to give you all some insight. It's been on my mind lately, kind of what people should be on the lookout for in terms of hiring a pest control company. And hopefully you guys took some value from this. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate that. If you are in the Dallas, Texas area, specifically North and East Dallas, and you're needing a pest control company, or, you just have any questions regarding, pest control, or, bugs or termites or rodents, whatever the case may be, feel free to check out our website. I'll leave that in the description below, and my number is on there as well, where you can contact me directly on the website. I'd love to speak with you, chat with you all that good stuff. And even if you're not from the area, if you have any questions or anything, same thing, feel free to hit that link in the description to the website, and just, try to get in touch with me through the phone or whatever the case may be. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you wish, subscribe below as well. Hit the thumbs up button if you appreciate the video. And let me know in the comments below, are there any other tips that might have been left out, that if you've had experience with a pest control company in the past, or any service industry, because we're all kind of related to some degree at the end of the day. If there's anything that I might have missed, I might have, another bullet point or two that might have been missed, let me know in the comments below. I greatly appreciate that. But hopefully you guys have a good rest of your day and stay pest free. Take it easy, guys.